Welcome to the Virtual Power Teams podcast. And today we have an exciting guest, Hesham Sabry. He's an amazing, Renaissance personality. He's a human-centric leader in the healthcare industry. I like when we've met already, and it was an amazing first encounter. But I like his hashtag, which is healthcare matters. So he really takes the health of the people and the care about the health seriously. So without any further ado, welcome Hesham, and please tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Peter, for hosting me and for the kind words as well. As you mentioned, my name is Hesham. I come originally from Egypt. I'm a pharmacist with MBA. I've been in the healthcare industry for the past maybe more than 2 decades, 22 years, across different countries, across healthcare companies. And most recently and currently, I'm the general manager of Roche in Bulgaria. And general manager, by definition, is kind of the ambassador of this organization in the country. I'm based in Sofia, and our purpose is doing now what patients need next. So, by definition, I'm trying to focus most of my time on how to support the patient journey and really adding value to the healthcare system in Bulgaria. And as you mentioned, I'm the host of the podcast Healthcare Matters.
Okay, excellent. And some people, I'm not one of them, they perceive pharmaceutical company as not very positive. But please tell us why you do what you do, why you chose this career. And I know you have a lot of passion for health.
Indeed, I have a big passion for what I do today. And if you allow me to start a bit from the past, I think it was kind of childhood dream. My father actually passed very early when I
Hmm.
was 13 years old, and he passed away with some challenges related to the liver. And then you
Hmm.
start early on with this dream or vision that you want to help other people, either to prevent disease, if you can, to cure disease, to help the people spend more time with the people they care about. And when I graduated from the faculty of pharmacy, I get to know that achieving that dream can be much more complex. And that's why I joined the healthcare industry. As I mentioned today, we spend a lot of time either personally trying to support things like prevention of some disease, early detection and
Hmm.
diagnosis, how to provide access for patients to the healthcare innovation, but at the same time working with our healthcare system on topics like funding. It's a very important topic on topics like digitalization. Indeed, that made me very passionate about what we are doing and really to drive a positive impact in the lives of our patients.
Hmm. Excellent, excellent. You have really a solid emotional reason. And now, please tell us, we live in the age of AI. Maybe we are, blessed or cursed, but it's a unique opportunity. I'm extremely optimistic. Please tell us how AI can help us to proactively diagnose some diseases and, in particular, cancer, if you have overview.
Technology and specifically AI can add a lot of value for the early detection of diseases like cancers, Peter. And if we start from the very beginning of the journey or the challenge for the community and the society, I think the first point that AI usually help us in terms of risk assessment and
Hmm.
prediction. So artificial intelligence models can really analyze, the person medical history, for example, the genetic information, the lifestyle factor, and other data. So you can really identify and try to prevent and act early on in terms of prevention. And as we go along, the journey of patients or people when they are diagnosed with cancer, when it comes to medical imaging analysis for cancer patients, again, things like MRI or CT scan, in this case, artificial intelligence can help us to really identify the type of genetic mutation that created this, type of cancer. And finally, to tailor personalized treatment. Because in the past days, Peter, we were dealing with all types of cancers, maybe 2 or 3 decades ago, the same. All can be treated, with chemotherapy. Then 1 decade later, we started to use more what we call targeted therapy, and they are more targeting specific mutation. Today, as we speak, using technology like artificial intelligence, We want to move to the era of personalized medicine or precision medicine, where we tailor treatment using technology by identifying those genomic, mutation to tailor treatment to specific patients. But this is ultimately what we are looking for to achieve together today. But to sum it up again, starting from prevention, so risk
Hmm.
assessment and prediction, and then in diagnosis, and finally in personalized treatment.
Okay. Okay. One of my stories I'm telling as a keynote speaker is about Murai. It is artificial intelligence for image recognition, discovering breast cancer. And it's been around for probably more than 10 years, discovers with 75% accuracy, much higher than the previous and 5 years ahead. So it can spot this genomic kind of changes much sooner than the human eye can spot. But you have a lot of stories and guests and also data. Can you give us a little bit more specific, the personalized treatment, which is a huge opportunity? And there was this in the news. It's not such a hot news when they generated with the help of AI, the same guys that developed DeepMind to beat Gary Kasparov and then the Go. They use it to generate the model. Maybe I would put some words not in the exactly scientific way, but to describe all the proteins, including the structure and so on. And it took like one PhD, 3 4 years to describe one protein. So within a few months they described 200, and now they described all possible on the planet, and they synthesize proteins, which could be used for personalized treatment. Can you shed a little bit more light? How can we provide personalized treatment, particularly for cancer?
You actually nailed it down and described it really nice, Peter. And the AI technologies are playing really significant role in personalized cancer treatment for patients. And one example or starting point can be the idea of genomic sequencing. I think this is what you were really describing, really nice. And the artificial intelligence algorithms can really analyze the patient genetic data. So you
Hmm.
have kind of data bank for huge number of patients. Let's say, for example, for 1 million patients, and then you can identify specific genetic mutation that might influence treatment effectiveness. And this
Hmm.
is opening really the door for personalized treatment.
Hmm.
Genetic sequencing is really the big thing here that help to identify those, mutations. But in general, there are different technologies among the artificial intelligence that can help us to do more for the patients. One famous example is the machine learning. And
Hmm.
those machine learning algorithms can really analyze a huge or large quantities of medical data. We are speaking about things like patients' records, genetic information, treatment outcomes, really to identify pattern and create personalized treatment. The other example is the natural language processing, which is known as NLP, and
Hmm.
this also can help to extract information, which from sometimes unstructured medical records, if or even research papers and other sources, and then assess the clinician, the oncologist, to really make informed decision.
Hmm.
Now I think it's really having a very good match between technology like artificial intelligence and how we can provide better outcomes for patients, even for predictive analytics. So really, you can use some of those technologies to predict the outcome and the potential, even side effects of certain treatment from the patient data or from the existing data you have.
Hmm. Excellent, excellent. We had on this podcast Andrea from Novartis, who is a common friend of ours, and he mentioned that they use like digital twins to kind of see what will be the impact, what will be the outcome before they do the treatment. Those things are also, I guess, in uh, in the
Very true.
portfolio of ways. Yes. Hmm.
Exactly, very true. And this is a very also important point, Peter, because as we spoke a lot in the past part about really the clinical outcomes and the
Hmm.
outlook for the patients and so on. But I think very important part of the value chain, if you look also on the industry, on the pharmaceutical industry or the healthcare industry, it takes almost 10 years to take one medicine to the patients, to the bench
Mm-hmm.
side, and it takes something like more than 2 billion US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine using things like the digital twin you mentioned to really simulate and accelerate the path of clinical trials and to reach the milestones of regulatory approval, reimbursement approval decisions early on. That can really drive more efficiency, can
Mm-hmm.
drive more speed. And the example we were speaking about is cancer. And for cancer patients, every day counts for them. But that's why things like digital twin and other technologies can really improve also the value chain, how we
Mm-hmm.
can bring this healthcare innovation faster to the patients and to the society.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And you mentioned a few of the benefits, but what are on one side the challenges and on the other the benefits of using AI for both diagnostic and treatment?
Exactly. That's a very good question, and definitely, if we start with the challenges
Mm-hmm.
side, that like anything new, people are usually kind of afraid from change and afraid from the unknown. And indeed, there are some specific areas where we have a lot of discussions when we speak about artificial intelligence. So part of it is the ethical considerations, and having artificial intelligence in healthcare really sometimes really raise some ethical concerns related, for example, to the patient consent, for example, to the bias in algorithms, to some potential for replacing human healthcare providers, which
Mm-hmm.
is, a debate we see not only in healthcare, but some people, when they saw the recent robots from Tesla, for example, some people were concerned that they are going to replace us. The other concern or challenge is really how to integrate it with the existing systems.
Mm-hmm.
If you look, Peter, into our existing healthcare systems, unfortunately, most of them are very fragmented.
Mm-hmm.
And to introduce, artificial intelligence, we need to really reduce this fragmentation to the minimum, and even use artificial intelligence as an enabler for integration. The other area is related to some regulatory concern. So specifically in healthcare, we need to upgrade and update some of our policies, some of our regulations to match also the fast pace, in term of how the technology is going very fast. And finally, definitely the data quality and privacy. So data quality is in general an issue. So in Europe, for example, they are inviting for really the similar standards, and there is an initiative called the European Health Data Space, really advocating for certain standards and the quality of data, and
Mm-hmm.
advocating for privacy as well. But in a nutshell, those would be some of the things, again, ethical consideration, integration with the system, the regulatory concern, and the data quality and privacy. On the
Mm-hmm.
other side, as we were speaking about the potential benefits from artificial intelligence, maybe I would start this time from the cost saving. All
Mm-hmm.
of us knew that our healthcare system are really suffering of the inflated cost, and this is again driven maybe by aging population. This is a challenge in Europe, but across different geographies as well. The burden of chronic diseases, it's really a huge burden on the system. If you speak about things like cancer, like neuroscience disease, like cardiovascular diseases, definitely there are challenge in terms of cost. Artificial intelligence have a strong potential to drive healthcare saving and cost saving for the healthcare system and for the patients. If I mentioned already the speed and the efficiency, either in terms of getting innovation to the patients faster, but at the same time helping healthcare professional to make informed decision quickly. And I already mentioned the points like early detection, how artificial intelligence can help us for early detection and personalized medicine.
Excellent. So we describe many ways that AI can help, both in diagnostic, treatment, personalized treatment, predictive measures. Are there any AI applications, examples that you give that have given already promising results in treating cancer?
Actually, there are multiple application and platforms. Some of them are very popular, and to share some examples on top of mind. So maybe you mentioned already the Google's DeepMind Health. I
Mm-hmm.
think DeepMind Health is an excellent example. It's really has developed AI algorithms to help identify different patterns in
Mm-hmm.
medical images. And we mentioned already medical image, like, for example, the MRI, the CT scan, the X-rays, and also to identify pattern in genomic data. And that will create a more accurate cancer diagnosis and ultimately personalized treatment plan. So Google DeepMind Health is a great example. Another example is the Path AI. This is also a very famous AI platform that use machine learning to analyze different pathology images and help
Mm-hmm.
the pathologist and the cross-functional team, the multidisciplinary team that is treating the cancer patients to really make better decision in cancer diagnosis and treatment. A third example is another one coming from IBM, which is the IBM Watson.
Yes.
It's IBM Watson for oncology. This one as well, Peter, is really, it's kind of AI system that analyzes the patient data, provides really treatment recommendation for oncologists based on the latest medical literature, research, the famous guidelines in oncology, like there is European famous guidelines, the ESMO guidelines, and the American one, the ASCO guidelines as well. So it really try to integrate those to help clinicians and the oncology to come with informed decision. I think those three examples are giving really a pretty good idea about how you can use artificial intelligence to analyze data, to use data for a better decision making.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you give us a little bit more detail on the how? I've been investing IBM Watson, it's been around for years and for sure maturing. And they also have IBM Watson for HR, supporting the whole value chain from attract talent, recruit, on board, and so on. Also based on similar algorithms. But how AI, if you can provide a bit more, actually supports the oncologists, the doctors, to make better decisions when they take care of the patients.
Yeah, indeed. I think there are several areas where AI supports oncologists to make informed decisions. So one part, like the medical imaging analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So some decades ago, we used that we have the radiologist or other member of the cross-functional team or the multidisciplinary team looking into images like X-rays, MRI, and CT scan. Today, AI algorithms really analyze those medical imaging and they analyze it in a fast way, at the same time helping oncologists first to detect, but second to diagnose cancer at an earlier stage. So this
Mm-hmm.
is really big benefit for the patients because if you intervene earlier, you have significant, improvement for the patients. And you mentioned earlier the breast cancer example. I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's an excellent example where we see survivals of patients really grows to multiple years. We see now more than 10 years and beyond due to the early intervention and the more awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was the clinical decision support. So some of those platforms, they are artificial intelligence powered, clinical decision support system, where first of all you give access for the whole multidisciplinary team. So you have the oncologist, the radiologist, the pathologist, the nurse, the clinical pharmacist. You have a true team. And to really manage and treat cancer, you need this integration of the team. So they integrate the whole team together. They give an equal access to data timely. At the same time, they give really guidance and recommendation. What would be the best, fit and the best decision for this patient based on existing data, and they can tailor the treatment. And finally, the predictive analytics. So we have seen, for example, in a disease like lung cancer, multiple trials where artificial intelligence can assess some of the risk factors. We know for lung cancer, for example, smoking is a famous,
Mm-hmm.
like risk factor for lung cancer. The food we eat, do we exercise or not? The type of our sleep and the quality of our sleep, the stress. So predictive analytics can help us for some individual people to give really an indication if we see a risk to develop certain type of cancer or we identify certain pattern and predict that this person might develop cancer. And this gives the whole, healthcare ecosystem an opportunity to intervene early on and act to try to really stop this circle. I
Hmm.
think, Peter, this is really nicely coming in sync with the idea that our healthcare system should work more on the prevention. This
Yes.
is actually really a systematic and strategic shift that need to happen, because when you focus on the people at the very late stages, there is very little value that you can
Hmm.
provide to those patients, to their family, to the society as a whole. But the more we can move to the direction of prevention and utilize technology for this area, we can really have a better outcomes for the community and for the patients.
Excellent. It's a great news. I know there is a famous speaker and coach, Tony Robbins, and he's doing a startup with Peter Diamandis, another celebrity who organizes prizes with a couple of millions on like humanity challenges. And they have a startup now in the human space where you regularly provide data, including, test sample data from urine and all other things needed. And they would proactively analyze and notify you in case of any risk. Um, in terms of this huge data, I'm not sure if this is like a more exotic startup or moving more in direction predictive analytics and diagnosis. In this space, we will see some bigger players kind of proactively collating human data and how AI can help us also to kind of make sense of this massive amount of data. Two questions
Uh,
in one.
Sure, sure. I think exactly as you describe it, Peter. So to simplify it a little bit, you take, for example, a urine sample from the patient. You can take even a blood sample,
Yes.
which we call it liquid biopsy, the
Hmm.
medical term, or you can take a biopsy from solid tumor if you already know that there
Hmm.
is a potential tumor in certain organ. So usually you take those samples, and then you can apply technology like genomic sequencing that I mentioned
Hmm.
earlier. And then you start extract using artificial intelligence and using some of those platforms, data that you can utilize machine learning first to understand the type of genomic mutation that this patient is suffering from, or to predict that means that maybe some years down the road there is high risk for developing cancer. And then after analysis of those data, you can start intervene, either decide for going immediately for treatment or thinking about any other prevention measure for those patients. The more data we have, is the more we have a probability, first of all, to predict, as you were saying, so we can really use those predictive analytics, and we can move more from the position today of only treating sick people and people when they reach already the hospital, to really go more to the direction of prevention. And again, that will take us to this personalized treatment plan, which I would say that the coming, decade in healthcare would be really about tailoring medicines and tailoring treatment for specific patients, for specific, mutation. So this is what we are seeing right now happening. One final thought also is the ability for, remote monitoring and care,
Hmm.
because you using artificial intelligence, and if you give your patient, for example, something wearable like a watch, for example, this watch can share the data and the information to, again, a platform or an ecosystem where this data will be analyzed and monitored continuously, and we can use this remote monitoring and care either to take care of those patients and people while they are outside the hospital, but at the same time, it can give an alarm if there is a medical intervention is needed. So this is something also we are seeing in many countries, including Bulgaria, that we see also potential for remote monitoring and care. And this is something that is very trending right now.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Excellent. And you mentioned that you could reduce the cycle in terms of benefits, much more efficient, delivering kind of new medicine. Now, if we're talking personalized treatment, and we mentioned like synthetic proteins in this context, how do you see the development? Because you have also approvals and some, checks on the system. What would be your guess in terms of speeding up the process? And is there any difference compared to the current one without
Yeah,
AI? Mm-hmm.
I think the whole system is going down this road, Peter, in terms of accelerating and using artificial intelligence in drug discovery. So either in the very early stages, what we are
Mm-hmm.
doing now, like the animal models or the very preclinical, phases, and then during the clinical phases, during creating different options, as you were saying, protein synthesis and so on. At the same time, the better understanding of the different mutations and the root causes of different diseases, specifically cancer, because maybe it's on the top of the list in terms of being burden on the, many of our healthcare systems. So again, artificial intelligence really help us first to better understand the disease, but at the same time help us to tailor specific treatment that really tackle this genetic mutation and the expectation that in the coming years that both the time to have the new drug will be less, but also the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And that means really for many of our cancer patients in a specific disease area, they are looking forward for new options for treatment and so on. And at the same time was more affordable in terms of cost for directly for the healthcare system in terms of reimbursement, or in some cases if the patient has to pay out of pocket. So I think this is the future, really
Yes.
using artificial intelligence to accelerate so we have less time for healthcare innovation, but at the same time, more cost efficient options for our healthcare systems and our patients.
Yes. And just out of curiosity, if you could give a simple answer, because it's a personalized treatment, you wouldn't approve it person by person. Do you know what would be the strategy for approval of these drugs?
Okay. So I think it's a very good point. You are making very good point, Peter. For some of the the drugs that have been approved right now, they are either for a specific mutation.
Mm-hmm.
So if this patient has this specific mutation, the approval will come for a specific mutation. We have seen some recent, in the past couple of years or the past 5 years, sometimes what we call band tumor, where a specific medicine is now prescribed for different types of tumor, like lung cancer, breast cancer, colorectal cancer, but for a specific mutation.
Mm-hmm.
So the treatment is more focused on the mutation and being
Mm-hmm.
more personalized regardless the type
Mm-hmm.
of the cancer itself. The third direction we are seeing that maybe in some years, and based on the amount of data that the healthcare ecosystem will have, maybe the regulations, also the policies, will accept and adopt artificial intelligence more and technology to use the existing data and to take regulatory decision and even reimbursement decision based on the existing data. This is
Yes.
the expected shift that might happen in the coming 5 years. And again, it will drive a huge efficiency for both the healthcare system, but for the industry, if we are speaking about the healthcare industry or the pharmaceutical industry. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's in motion. It's a lot of different pieces in motion, but we are going down this road, Peter.
Okay. Excellent. And can you give us what's new, what's coming next in terms of you gave quite a broad overview, but if there is anything we didn't mention, which is still in the labs, but you have a good hope for in terms of
Ah,
mhm, cancer
yeah.
treatment or in general healthcare.
Okay. Yeah, I think in general, what we are seeing right now, what I can say that there is definitely a lot of dynamics in terms of the number of clinical trials invested, in cancer. A lot of dynamic in terms of better understanding of the cancer itself, the mutations, and our ability really to tailor personalized treatment for cancer patients. I believe what is again making the big difference and will make the big difference for our patients is really the early detection. So really starting from prevention, we need to invest more. And in some country, we see this trend really investing more about prevention. In terms of diagnosis, again, we are going in the right direction in the presence of artificial intelligence. In terms of treatment, to your point, we see a better overall survival and progression-free survival. So either the time the patients will survive with cancer and the time the patients will survive without the appearance or recurrence of any cancer, we see really significant change and prolongation in the years. And this is significantly related to the healthcare innovation that we are seeing in the last year. And that makes me very optimistic that really by working together, I think there is hope for even for very difficult diseases like cancer.
Mhm. Let me ask you this question. I'm considering writing a book where AI has initially as a tool, as a co-pilot, working alongside, but later on becoming more independent, team member, and even coordinating some activities on our behalf. Would help us to heal certain types of cancer quickly. What would be your forecast? I know cancer is very diverse disease and they vary, and even within lung cancer, you have many, many variations. But when do you think we will have, in terms of years, a significant improvement in cancer treatment and in healing?
Yeah. Very good point, Peter. I would say in the coming 5 to 10 years, we will see significant improvement.
Hmm.
Again, now we see, some cancers are being cured right now.
Yeah.
We see a trend, for example, for vaccines. For some
Hmm.
types of women health cancers, you can do early vaccination, and then
Hmm.
you get those ladies kind of protected from
Hmm.
future women health risk of cancer. I would say for the coming 5 to 10 years, adopting more technology, acting early on, adopting this direction of either vaccination, acting early on the cancers, better understanding of the genetic mutations. I think we should see very positive news from 5 to 10 years, and I hope that cancer will be a less scary word for all
Hmm.
of us, and more of a disease we can cure and we can manage and we can control together.
Yes, that's a great message, Hashim. Now, we sent, you are a human-centric leader, and I've seen how you interact with people, and, I've seen some of your podcasts. You are leading, you led companies in many countries in a health industry. What would be your advice, your tip? We have many of the listeners manage international teams, some remote, international, distributed teams. What is your number one advice for people leading remote, international, virtual teams?
Yeah, indeed, many scenarios, it's a difficult job for many of us, and we have seen that during the COVID and before the COVID. I remember our discussion when we met last time. For me, I would say that the starting point to make sure that this team is really are aligned around a purpose and a
Hmm.
mission. I mentioned one example, our Roche purpose, like doing now what patients need next. And it's very important, even if we are sitting in a different geographical, location across the globe, that we share the same mission. We share the same purpose. We feel that we are, as leaders, really connected by heart and mind to this purpose. So I would say that this is really the starting point. But
Hmm.
but after that, what we used to do is to create at the beginning what we call the team charter. So really agree on as a team what we would like to do together, what we would like to achieve, why this team exists, how we are going to work together, how we are going to take decisions together. فagreeing at the beginning on this team charter and trying to live it and make it really alive is very important. The third reflection would be related to communication. So communication, even virtually, is very important. What we do is we have regular check-ins. Let's say every 2 weeks, we have regular check-ins. Sometimes we have monthly meeting. We have work cycles of 90 days. So we connect also every 90 days as a team. We check what we have done well, what we have learned from the previous cycle, and then we can modify and iterate and so on. So I think this communication and having a regular checkpoints and also being willing to learn from the past and apply some changes for the future. But this is in a nutshell what we used to do, especially when we are in a different
Yes,
geographical location.
excellent, excellent. It very much matches my philosophy from my book. I say the virtual team is like the atom where the nucleus is not the manager. You have a nucleus and various particles flying around, and the nucleus is not the manager, the boss, the company owner, is the team purpose and goal. So a lot of emphasis up front to put the purpose and goal of the team bottom up, as you said, and then communication and culture are the other two elements as you described. Excellent. Now, um, last question. Take your crystal ball out. What do you think is the ultimate frontier of AI, not just in healthcare in general?
That's a great point and a great question, Peter. If I start my reflection from technology point of view, I would say that we are reading always about the artificial general intelligence.
Hmm.
So where the AI will be really ready to perform all the, any intellectual task that we as human are able to do today. We're speaking about cognitive abilities, about resonance, about complex problem solving. So any human-like cognitive function that AI to reach one day that they can do everything.
Hmm.
And definitely, like many things in life, it will come with two sides. So achieving this goal might be really helpful in things like healthcare and other things because we will see the next level, in this friendship between technology and things like healthcare. But at the same time, we have our fears, our concerns, our ethical challenges, and so on. But in general, I'm an optimist, so I feel optimistic about the artificial intelligence, and I see it as an enabler in general. I think what we need right now is really the dialogue and bring
Hmm.
everything to the table. Maybe regulations need to be upgraded. Maybe all the ethical considerations need to be implied and be in place. We need to make sure about all the privacy topic we are discussing. But in general, I'm an advocate and optimist that artificial intelligence can do great things for healthcare, but for other industries as well.
Excellent, excellent. You provoke many thoughts with your words. You know, there is one of the futurists, Kurzweiler. He had many predictions that happen, and he's saying now, 2029, just in 5 years, the AGI, artificial general intelligence, will be there. If it's now AI have the intelligence like 180, 190 IQ, like one of the smarter people, it will be like a million and billion of people equivalent. And as some old man say, just throw and say, discover quantum physics for me with one single prompt. It could, discover what took the humanity a couple of centuries, but we will see. And when you were answering the question about the purpose, I had another pharmaceutical Bayer, and they have implemented across the organization agile disciplines, but in a very kind of practical way, because the market, we live in dynamic times, you have to be more agile. Apart from the terminology agile, you have to respond faster to market changes, to people changes, and so on. So you would have to take more decisions as a team. You need to check up more quickly, and they introduced interesting ways to kind of manage those dynamics. One of them was, for example, called Elmo, enough, let's move on. So on a meeting, sometimes you have people that can, particularly scientists, can drag forever and deep dive and deep down. So, team members can play. They have a mascot for it. Enough, let's move on. And again, the team decides, not just a single individual can cut somebody. But yes, we are privileged to live in a times where, the environment is very dynamic and artificial intelligence is coming to help. We're both optimists. Thank you so much. Any final word? You've been very optimistic. Any message to the audience as a
Thank
senior leader in
you.
the healthcare?
Thank you so much, Peter, again for hosting me. I really enjoyed our insightful discussion. I would say that my final message is healthcare challenges are really complex and it needs a lot of collaboration between different stakeholders. If we think about the industry, about the healthcare providers, about the patient organizations, the academia, startups, technology can be a real enabler for healthcare, We discussed a lot today about how things like artificial intelligence can support cancer patients. But in general, technology can be a real enabler, but dialogue is very important. Coming together and discussing our challenges and agreeing on the way forward. I loved what you mentioned about the Elmo. I think sometimes we need it in the healthcare also. So we know very well about our challenges, but maybe we need to spend more time about the solutions and how we
Mhm.
can move forward, even with with baby steps. But in
Yes.
general, I remain kind of a rational optimist, and I look forward to a future where diseases like cancer are being detected very, very early, are being prevented and cured. So the people we care about can have more time with their family, with their beloved ones.
Yes, we come back to your original reason to join this industry. And maybe I would allow one more question because, as you said, we need to work in an ecosystem. We need to work together in a bigger ecosystem, in a bigger community, including academia, business, and so on, some NGOs. And I know you have a first-hand experience, operating in such ecosystems. Do you have, and I think many of the managers on the call, they also have to operate a part within their internal organization, within their business ecosystem. Do you have any advice how to kind of collaborate and lead in an ecosystem context? Anything that comes to mind that was helpful for you?
I think in general, leading in the ecosystem, I believe the key word is the trust.
Okay.
We need really to work on the trust. Uh, Usually, when you take any approach in ecosystem, you take some calculated risk. We need to invest in this trust, and trust comes with really commitment to a purpose. Comes from consistency, so you can predict this partner. At the same time, again, I see the big value of dialogue. Yani you have seen and come to our office, for example, in Bulgaria, where we host a lot of workshops, a lot of meetings, where we speak about our challenges, but really propose solutions for those challenges. Again, I would say really invest on trust, really have an open dialogue, and come really with open mindset. And the final thing, especially in the healthcare industry, that we need to really think about the patient and
Mhm.
think that our decisions, our collaborations, our solutions will really impact a patient. If every cancer patient will look for earlier healthcare innovation or earlier decision for support, so we need to keep the patient at the center and really think about the patient always.
Yes. Yes, we had remote first, we have AI first company. Now we have a patient first philosophy. Yes, thank you so much. And I love this trust about, building an effective ecosystem. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for all the insights, for the optimism, for the pragmatic tips. Thank you, Hesham.
Thank you so much, Peter. It was really a pleasure, and I look forward to continue our collaboration. Thank you so much.